One. What's up, Mortgage Coach community? Dave Savage. I am interviewing someone for the first time that I saw at the Lenders One Summit in Seattle, and I loved her presentation. And Bronwyn, it's really nice to meet you in person. Well, I met you in person. It's nice to interview you for the first time, and I'm looking forward to bringing some of the insights, some of the wisdom that I took from your presentation to the whole Mortgage Coach community. So welcome.
Thank you. My pleasure. So happy to be here with you today.
Yeah, well, you killed it. I mean, I was hearing you for the first time, but as I was hearing you, I was like kind of texting some people that I knew, saying, "Hey, do you know Bronwyn?" And how you pronounce your last name? Morrissey?
Morrissey, yeah.
Yeah, Morrissey. And they're like, "Of course, she's amazing," you know. And then it was funny at the party that last night. Someone had just randomly brought up how much they loved your session. So I'm like, okay, I am lucky that I was in that session, and I'm lucky that I'm bringing it to the community. So.
Oh, great. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. And actually, to tell you the truth, I had so much fun presenting on Tuesday in front of the Lenders One group. Amazing people there, participants, and it was a lot of fun for me too.
Yeah. So before I get into the questions and we talk about leadership and energy, just give folks your backstory so they just have a feel of where you come from and who you are today, as a consultant and coach.
Yeah. Okay, great. So my background is like everyone else. I got into mortgage banking by accident. I was going to, join some kind of model United Nations or, Peace Corps. I was in the Peace Corps, and I thought I would do something like that to serve the world. But I ended up getting into mortgage banking, which was a blessing. And I was serving the world, right? Getting people into homes, which I love to do. And I did that for 27 years. Worked in organizations, I worked in MI, and I just fell in love with the people. And the people are so much fun, the people we work with, and also getting the borrowers into homes. And I never wanted to leave. So that's my journey in mortgage banking. Loved it the whole time. I worked my way up the ladder, if you will. And 2.5 years ago, I came to a choice in my career where I was either going to look for another job in mortgage banking, or I could start doing my own thing. And I had always wanted to and tried to bring in my total passion around personal and professional development into my job. And so I sat down with my husband and I said, I really want to do this thing. And he said, all right, go for it. And I've just loved it. It's been so much fun for me. I'm so passionate about it. I love the people I work with, and just sharing this passion that I have with everyone I meet with. Cool.
Well, I think you guys will see some of the unique ways in which Bronwyn shows up and the way she teaches and trains. She started out telling her personal story and kind of integrating that into who she is. And I thought that was pretty powerful. I mean, you were definitely someone I admire and respect, by the way you told that story, and in a way that was on point with the session. And then she got into leadership, and she teed it up like, and she asked the audience, what are the key traits of leadership? And when you want to work on something as a leader, what do you want to work on? And, I know all the words that went through my head, and none of them were the word energy, integrity, empathy. Empathy was just like, it's empathy. Empathy is the one. And while all of those things are essential to level 5 leadership. If you are a great leader, you embody a lot of terms, you work on a lot of things. But, at least me personally, I don't think as a leader, I've been as intentional with working on my energy. Now, I do have some gifts, in terms of just this natural energy that I have. I'm like ADD, real deal. And I am a light spirit, so I'm a bright, want to lift people up, want to help, I'm not a dark soul. So I got that going, and I think it might just be in the genes, not something that I worked on. But I thought it was important. And so I'm going to pull up on the screen real quick And I posted this literally while I was in your session, just on my mobile phone, which I know how we all like that as speakers when people are like texting while we're speaking, but I was posting a pretty cool question in a pretty cool audience. So I thought it was a productive use of mobile during a keynote. I didn't think I was disrespecting you. And check this out, guys. If you're looking at this, 41 comments, humble, hungry, smart, Keith Collins. By the way, I was thinking about your post because I've always just kind of defined the top leader, hungry, humble, smart. And the hungry part is the energy part, like that's a piece. But I mean, first of all, I'm super honored because I know so many of these people, they're like some of the best leaders in the mortgage space commented, Tony Blodgett, what's up? Just so many powerful people, Brian, Josh. And here's the thing that I'm going to say is we're all right. I mean, these are important traits of leadership that need to work on. But, what I'd like to do now, and maybe just go for a few minutes, it won't really do justice to your content, because I know you could go on this for like an hour.
Yes.
But let's make a case for leadership being the thing that we need to work on the most. Let's talk about that, and then let's transition to the 5 or 6 questions that you gave us for some self-analysis.
Yeah. So I love, well, first of all, I love that you posted during my talk. I see that it was 11:18, so you were 18 minutes into it, which is great. And I did give permission at that point to pull your phones back out, so you didn't break any rules. So when we're talking about leadership, right, a couple things around leadership. The way that I think about leadership, and if you've read any John Maxwell books, right, he writes tons of books on leadership, and I did a lot of studying with him, is he talks about leadership is influence, and influence is leadership, right? And so when you think about it that way, it's easy to come to, like, it's not just necessarily leading our teams, leading our organizations. It is leading ourselves. It's leading our families. It's leading our communities, right? And so it's like, how do you show up as a leader everywhere in your life without compartmentalizing it? And when you think about leadership as influence, that's where it's easily translated into, and influence is energy. Like, how are you showing up influentially? You can show up, you can influence people from the negative or the positive, right? And we were talking in my talk, we talked about energy being broken down into many layers, but the 2 main ones are anabolic energy, which is more of the fueling, expanding, opportunity focused, solution focused, like looking for the solution in everything, or the catabolic energy, which is more constricted, dark, constraining, problem focused. And so if you think about—
So time out real quick. When that second one you described, you had a picture of Darth Vader, everybody.
I did.
So yeah, so just, I mean, imagine. And I think you did an analogy around Hitler. I mean, we're talking about, using your energy in dark ways, and versus, having amazing energy, but using it in ways that create growth, in ways that create, equality, in ways that help human beings have more success and more joy. So anyway, I just want to make sure they heard that visual, because I think that, to me, that said it all. Like, okay, good energy, bad energy.
Right. We had Darth Vader on the catabolic side, and we had Yoda on the anabolic side,
which was beautiful.
So much,
yeah.
You don't even need to really say anything else.
No, you pretty much, visually, close the door there. So
yeah.
Anyways, I did cut you off, so sorry about that, but I just wanted to make sure we visualize that.
No, that's okay. And so you brought up the great example of, like, you can influence people and you can get results from the Darth Vader side, right? Obviously, when you think about him and all the people that he was influencing, or Hitler as an example, right? They definitely have influence, and they're definitely leaders. So the question is, what kind of leader do you want to be? Who do you want to be as a leader in the world? from what kind of energy do you want to emanate, and you can actually get more results and be way more productive, collaborative, and pull in intuition from more of that anabolic energy, the Yoda energy.
Right. So for mortgage coach community, I think a great example of someone that I've interviewed a lot, Jeremy Forcier, who I think is, one of the top mortgage professionals in the industry now, and definitely in the mortgage coach community. And his energy is just undeniable. Like you see, like every time he speaks on stage, he has more influence and gets better ratings than everybody else. And it's energy. And so I think, and that also drives to exercise, because you can't be yourself if you're not at a peak health. But I just thought that was something for us to think about, talk about. I'll let you pace this. I want this interview to go, 20-ish minutes. There's no time limits, but I also want to get into those questions. Yeah. So do you feel like we should make a case anymore that, like, hey, all of these traits are important: humble, hungry, smart, high integrity, empathy, self-awareness, all of these things are essential. You can't be a great leader and really not embody all of them, but like energy powers it. Energy is really it's like, does your influence have a big wave, a little wave, or a big influence? And the more energy you put behind it, the more influence you'll have. Is that kind of netting it out?
Yeah, the way I think about it, I agree with you completely. Like all of those qualities you mentioned, adding on to that, like honesty, integrity, authenticity, collaboration, inclusivity, all of those things. But the source of all of that is what we're talking about. It's kind of the behind the scenes underneath all of those things. And where are those things coming from, right? Is the way that I think about it from that perspective. And so, when I was talking about that, like we talked about the leadership ladder, right? And the energy is like a spectrum on the leadership ladder, the lowest, very bottom here being like victim energy, or like beating ourselves up or beating other people up. And you can lead from there, or you can lead from the top of the energy ladder, which is more creativity, innovation, visioning, things like that. Down here, right, that's coming from more of a fear-based place. So do you want to be a leader or running your business or your life from a fear-based place? Or do you want to come from innovation and solutions, right? Creativity. That's really the distinction between the two to start to recognize. Where are you showing up?
Totally agree. So I want to show my screen one more time, because I want to transition to something that I thought was actionable. And I want to give Sue Woodard a shout out.
Yes.
One of my favorite leaders of the mortgage industry, and a complete rock star with how she, she's entertaining and brings value on LinkedIn. So Sue, you rock. But she took a picture, which I was super grateful for. I was like, oh, I didn't took a picture. I did keep one, but I can't find it. So guys, what we're gonna go through now, we have these 5 or 6 questions that I want everybody to ask. I'm also gonna post, Sue, I'm gonna take your picture, I'm gonna save it, I'm gonna put it in comments. So wherever I post this, down below, you'll see these questions. Also has Bronwyn's contact information. So I highly recommend you guys follow her, stay in touch. But Bronwyn, let's go through this list. And why don't you, kind of realize that they don't have it. So like kind of walk us through, and I'm going to just ask you some questions along the way. So like, what's the self-analysis everybody should do right now? Like whether you pause this, go answer these questions, or whether you kind of listen and pause it as you go. I want everybody to go through this process that we went through in your session.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I wanted everyone to walk away with tools. So we talked about 3 tools, which we can touch on after we go through this. But I wanted people to get a sense for, me bringing in this concept concept, one thing to talk conceptually, but let's like really land it and ground it into reality and look at how are you actually showing up when you answer these questions. So, and I'll send this to you because there's 7 questions. The last one got cut off so that you can have the whole thing for everyone. And this is just a small glimpse of the assessment I actually do with all my coaching clients, right? The real one is longer than this, and it gives us an in-depth analysis of how their attitude and perceptions are to how they relate to situations in their lives, whether it's under normal circumstances, and the way I look at it is also they see it under stressful circumstances, so that they get a glimpse of it. And then when we do coaching together, we work at bringing them up energetically so they can see where they're starting to come at a lower energy place. With basically, we're looking at either having a problem-oriented vision or something's wrong, right? Negativity. So, how do you want to go through the questions together?
Yeah, read it. Like go through it. Let's just read off all the questions, okay, and then I'll go back and ask questions. So let's just ask the questions. I want you guys to listen to this. And I know when I did it, while I was reading it and writing it, I was able to answer it pretty quickly myself. And then, just to make sure I was right, I actually, I guess I did take a picture of it. And I said to my wife, and I said, honey, how would you answer these questions for me? And I was pretty accurate. I mean, there was one where I was like one number off, I was only one number off, but she answered them identical. So I do recommend everybody will listen to this. I want you to answer these questions, and then someone that that knows you well and that will be honest with you, give them the question and get the feedback. Anyways, that's what I did. But walk us through the questions.
I love that you did that. I love that you gave it to your wife. Talk about getting a mirror. That's great.
Hey, it's the only way we learn, It's the only way we know if what we think is real,
Because we have blinders on. We can't see our own.
I do not believe everything I think, for sure.
Good. That's great. So how you answer these questions is I want you to go through, and it's on a scale of 1 to 5. So 1 being, this is completely untrue. And 5 being, this is completely true about me. And so don't think about it. Just, I'm going to read them. Just give your answer like Dave said. And that is, your intuition coming out and answering it. So number 1, when things go wrong for me, I can easily come up with a plan to make it better. On a scale of 1 to 5, completely true or completely untrue.
So just to have some fun here. So for me, I gave myself a 5.
Okay.
And I think that's pretty good when it's my own problem. Where I have a challenge is when my wife has something wrong. I can always come up with a plan for that too. And that's not always the right thing to do. Just listen, but I definitely gave myself a high marks for that. But that is a gift and a curse at the same time. That's
great. That's great. And that is higher up on the ladder, right? So that's one that, we'll go into that in a minute. Number 2, when there is a problem, I feel the need to fix it. Number 3, I need to protect myself so others won't take advantage of me or run me over. Number 4, I make the most out of every opportunity presented, negative or positive. 5, before coming up with a solution, I consider all points of view so that everyone wins. 6, I often replay events wishing I had acted differently. And number 7, people who know me would describe me as passionate about what I do. Okay, Dave, so I'm curious. How did you answer number 7?
Yeah, I think I'm passionate. Yeah.
I think you seem passionate.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
And you are clearly passionate too. So first of all, great questions. I think everybody can answer it. So let's go through now and, spend a few minutes just giving some narrative, whatever I missed that you didn't get a chance to do at the session, whatever you think would be constructive, give us some feedback about different answers and what this might mean about who we are.
Yeah, exactly. So if you had number 3 and number 6 as high on the spectrum, like a 4 or 5, now 3 was the one I need to protect myself so others won't take advantage or run me over. And 6 was I often replay events wishing I'd acted differently. Those are, and those are lower energy, right? And so if you rate yourself a 4 or 5 on those, that means there's, something to look at. Like that would be wanting to maybe have a conversation with a coach to see how you're approaching things and perceiving things. It's more of that problem-oriented thinking. Something's wrong type of thinking, right? So anywhere from a 3 to 5 on that, that energy is a little bit higher. The thing with all of these is we all have all of these, right? We all have all of these levels. It's just the key here is to start to be consciously aware of when we're in the lower energy levels so that we can shift into a higher place. Because like we were saying, we're a fish in water. We don't know. Okay. Then if you answered a number like 1, 4, or 5, those ones, if you answered those at a 4 or 5, that's getting more into that catabolic energy level. Like it's starting to be a consideration of others, less judgment of yourself or other people, right? We're not blaming other people. We're taking a lot of responsibility when we start answering those questions at a higher level, at that 3, 4, or 5. And then like number 7 that's the top, right? That is where we're so passionate about things that there is no winning and losing. Winning and losing are all just an illusion. Everything's just an experience. And we are in the ability to create anything in the moment, right? So it might seem like here we are going into an economic question mark, right? There's concern about a recession and things are going to change in the market. So there could be a lot of fear coming up right now, but people that are, that would answer that question or come up higher on the energetic spectrum, they don't think about it that way. They think about it like there's an opportunity here, right? There's always an opportunity. There's always a solution. And we can win in every situation. There is really no winning. We're just experiencing life and work and everything in our lives.
Love it. So I love this exercise. I hope it was, to think about energy as, something key. I'm not here to like make a list in order because I think that's a personal thing. And I even think not only will we all do this as human beings, like this is my view, we all have different seasons, where different, integrity. And everybody, integrity doesn't just mean being honest. Integrity means doing what you say you're going to do. Integrity means a lot of different things. I mean, that's a really dynamic word that means a lot of things to a lot of people. But, wherever you're at in this leadership, I mean, I'm a big believer in leadership powers everything. Like I am a technologist, mortgage coach is a technology, but without human leadership, the technology doesn't get used. The technology, people don't build skills around using it and get the value without leadership. Leadership from outside and leadership, self-leadership. So that's why I focus on leadership too much, is because everything that good happens in the world and everything that bad happens in the world happens through leadership. So let's do this, because I want to have you back. Hopefully you will make time for the community. I think we've created awareness, so energy is going to be in the topic. Like next time I ask that question, someone will talk about leadership and I'll feel like gift given. And hopefully someone answered these questions and they helped you reflect on yourself. And then remember, as leaders, I'm always looking like, hey, I got something of value. I checked up on myself. I had my wife make sure that I wasn't just drinking my own Kool-Aid. And then I also have a new tool to help people that I lead, check up on themselves. So guys, I hope you got that gift. Bronwyn, for anyone that wants to go the next level with you, whether they wanted to engage with you, maybe you have an event coming up, how should people, follow you, and how should people reach out to you?
Yeah, so my website is my first and last name.com, so it's bronwynmorrissey.com, and it's on this that you're going to post on the Facebook site. So people can get a hold of me that way, and I'm happy to talk to anyone about, this assessment that I do. I do it with all of my clients. It's actually one of the requirements that I have for my clients because it gives us a baseline of how they're showing up, and then we do it again later, and it really does shift. And events that I have coming up, I'm going to be doing a leadership group starting in the fall that I'm going to be posting on my website. And I'm also taking a group of women to Uganda. It's called Women in Leadership in Uganda in 2020. Only 10 women get to go on that. And that's going to be, I can't tell you how excited. I'm like a 10 out of 10 in passion on that one because I've spent a lot of time in Africa. Those women are leaders. If we want to learn, we need to go watch these women, really live leadership. It's a very different experience. So anyone that's interested in talking to me about that can reach out to me as well. As well as, I do lots of things with various corporations, and I have individual clients and do lots of speaking like you saw. I love it. So I want to get the word out there. If I could spread this quickly and fast, that would be my dream.
Good. So guys, if you connected to Bronwyn and you want to go to the next level individually, or if you're a loan officer or a leader, and you're like, hey, it'd be really cool to have her speak at our sales rally or company event, reach out to her for that. So I want to close with a quick question, although I'm sure it's a question that could go for an hour, but let's not try to tackle dark versus light energy because, that might take more therapy to do that. But let's just talk about amplifying our energy. Like exercise is obviously something that could, exercise more and you'll amplify your energy. What else? What are like 2 or 3 reminders? You're probably not going to tell us something we hadn't thought about, although maybe, challenge to you to surprise us with a new idea. But what are some things that could amplify our energy?
Some of the things that I do is, well, number one, we need to get support from other people. I love that you sent that to your wife, so she can be aware of what you're looking at right now. So, who do you have in your life that you can ask for support, ask them to reflect back? Like, am I showing up where I want to as a leader? Am I showing up with enthusiasm and energy for my teams and people around me? So definitely getting support. I love the exercise thing. I'm a huge athlete. I love being out in nature. Obviously, taking care of ourselves. Like one of the big things I do, because I work with so many executives that are incredibly busy. I had a call with a woman actually that I'm working with from Delta Airlines right now. And the demands on them are insane. They're flying all over the world. And so a lot of it is, what are we doing to take care of ourselves? Because we have to put our oxygen mask on first before we take care of others. I love that saying that they say on the plane. It's such a good reminder. We have to do that. So we have energy for other people. So that would be food for thought.
Good. All good stuff. And remember, guys, meditation is, for me, I can look at how well I'm performing and almost like when I'm either not meditating in the morning or when I'm, shortcutting it. Because it's meditation is the hardest thing for me. I like to concentrate and be still for like 3 minutes is hard. 10 minutes is hard. 20 minutes is like running a marathon. And so, consider meditation. Cool. So Bronwyn, super glad that I got to meet you, see you, and bring you in the community. For everybody listening to this, if you got value, give us a like in Facebook, LinkedIn, share it with someone that you think would be interested. If you don't think people would be interested, don't share it with them. And Bronwyn, I look forward to meeting you again in person, only knowing who you are next time. And then hopefully you'll want to come back to our community and do something again.
I would love it. I'm honored. Thank you so much. This has been a blast.
All right. Take it easy.